colonisation murdered and raped Indigenous people when they came here with their boats.
Earlier this week, the Australian Green Senator Lidia Thorpe staged a protest when reciting the Oath of Allegiance to Parliament and Queen Elizabeth II and was asked to retake it by its Speaker. Here's what happened.
Thorpe, please recite the affirmation on the card handed to you.
I, Sovereign Lidia Thorpe, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and I bear true allegiance to the colonising Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Senator Thorpe, I'm going to wait for quiet. Senator Thorpe, you are required to recite the oath as printed on the card, so please recite the oath.
Well, Senator Lidia Thorpe joins me on the line now. Good morning, Lidia.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Times Radio. Now, I think there'll be people listening in the UK who'll be, perhaps not shocked, but will be struck by somebody being so critical of the Queen. Can you explain to them why you made that protest earlier this week?
Well, I just stated a fact that the Queen and what the Queen represents is colonisation. And colonisation in this country, in Australia, has done so much damage to First Nations people, to Indigenous people right across this country. They are responsible for genocide. So yes, colonisation murdered and raped Indigenous people when they came here with their boats. And I felt, as going into the Senate, into the Parliament, that swearing allegiance to a colonising queen of another country who created so much harm to this country's first people was demoralising, and it was the wrong thing to do. It didn't feel right in my heart, and a lot of Indigenous people in Australia do not subscribe to being colonised. It took away our livelihoods. It took away our language, song, dance. It took away the essence of who we are as Indigenous people in this country. So to be made to swear allegiance to someone else's queen of someone else's country is ludicrous.
And there's an obvious solution to this, Lidia Thorpe, and it's Australian republicanism, isn't it? It's abolishing the Australian monarchy. It's been over 2 decades since Australia voted to keep it. And, of course, Anthony Albanese, the new Prime Minister, has appointed a Minister for Republic. Is now the time to hold another vote? And do you think you could win it?
I don't think we're quite ready. I think that this country needs to hold a mirror up to itself and understand the true history of this country. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Australia don't know the true history of their own country and go along with the ride, but are ignorant to the facts. And so we need to go on a truth-telling journey around the nation so that people know what happened and why it happened and what are the ramifications of invasion from the colonisers. And yes, we need to be talking about a republic, but we also, first and foremost, need to be talking about a treaty in this country. We are the only Commonwealth country in the world that does not have a treaty with its Indigenous people. So my focus is on bringing peace through a treaty, and we would like the colonising Queen's blessing, if you like, to treaty, and then we can talk about a republic. But we need Indigenous people in this country need a seat at the table. We're sick of being ignored, and we're sick of being oppressed in our own country. It's time for change. We need treaty, then we need a republic. And I think once we educate people on what that can look like, then we will have a successful referendum.
Well, Senator Thorpe, thanks very much for joining us on Times Radio this morning. That was Senator Lidia Thorpe, an Australian Green who staged a protest in the Australian Parliament early this week when she was asked to retake her oath of allegiance after branding the Queen a coloniser. Interesting, though, to hear her say that Australia isn't necessarily ready for that referendum on the monarchy. Perhaps a reflection of the affection for the Queen that abides even across the Commonwealth. I think it's a conversation people are only willing to have once we see that transition there.